Hi, this is Christiana with another answer to your question about tarot. Today's question comes from Pamela. She's having a hard time with the court cards. Well, Pamela, you're not alone. The 16 court cards in the Court of the Minor Arcana are some of the most difficult cards to interpret because they can mean so many different things. But once you get a handle on them, you'll find that they are very helpful cards for really giving you a lot of good meaning and good advice in a reading. My book, Tarot Tour Guide, has a whole chapter about the court cards that you might enjoy. I'm also putting together some webinars and full-length videos on the court cards. In the meanwhile, though, let's see if we can give you a quick answer to your question. Now, as you know, when it comes to tarot, there really are no right and wrong answers. We all have our own way of looking at the cards, and nowhere is that more true than with the court cards. I'm going to share my system with you. Perhaps it will work for you. If it doesn't, I hope at least it gives you permission to think about finding your own system, to think about how the court cards speak to you. Now, as we said, there are 16 court cards. Typically, they are pages, knights, queens, and kings, one court in each of the four suits. Now, we know that the four suits are related to the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Typically, pentacles is earth, cups is water, wands is fire, and swords is air. And in my system, understanding the elemental associations is really important for interpreting the cards. Now, when we look at the four ranks of the court, each rank has its own meaning. The thing that makes the court cards really confusing is sometimes they refer to people. Sometimes they refer to something within the person you're reading for, be that you or someone else. It's an aspect of their personality. Sometimes it's telling you to nurture those qualities. Or sometimes it's predictive and a reference to something completely different. So let's answer the first question: how do you know which meaning is true? I'm going to tell you three things. Number one, sometimes more than one meaning can be true. The Page of Cups could indicate the querent's daughter, but at the same time could encourage the querent to nurture more love and speak more love at the same time. So recognize that, when you're trying to figure out which meaning is right, more than one of them may be true. A good technique is to tell your client all of the things it could possibly be and let the client tell you which one of those is true. The other thing I'm going to tell you is that your intuition will often make it very clear to you that this is referring to the client's child, or this card is referring to the client's husband. And along with that, the other cards that come up in the spread may point the way to the best interpretation of the card. So intuition and the cards in the spread, knowing that more than one meaning may be true, and giving the client the opportunity to hear all the meanings and choose the ones that are most appropriate. Those are your best ways of figuring out which of the many possibilities are true. Now, let's talk about rank. We'll start with the rank of page. In some decks, the pages are princesses, and pages are considered to be more feminine, more receptive, more yin energies. Does that mean that pages are always girls? Not necessarily. A lot of tarot decks make the pages and the knights look very androgynous, and I think that's appropriate. I see the pages as younger people or people of any age who are learning something. Pages are students and communicators. What are they studying? Well, that depends on the element. That depends on the suit. The Page of Swords might be learning to write or learning to communicate or learning basic truths, learning how to be rational and reasonable. The Page of Pentacles might be learning about practical matters. The Page of Cups might be learning about emotional matters. The Page of Wands might be learning about creative things or spiritual things. So, pages can be young people who are learning about or communicating about their element, or they can be people of any age who are embracing something new or learning to communicate about something new for the first time. Pages can also come up to tell you that you need to be a student of whichever element, or that you need to communicate more in regards to that element. The Page of Pentacles might be saying, don't be afraid to talk about money. The Page of Swords might be saying, don't be afraid to communicate your truth. Now, pages also predict communication. For instance, the Page of Pentacles traditionally is the card of money in the mail. The Page of Cups could predict a communication about love. Now, let's move on to the Knights. Knights can also be younger people, but the difference between the Knights and the Pages, the Knights are more masculine, more yang energy, and the Knights tend to be on horseback. They're in pursuit of something. What are they pursuing? Well, again, look at the element. The Knight of Pentacles could be pursuing business. The Knight of Swords could be pursuing information or the truth. The Knight of Cups is the suitor pursuing love. So, Knights are young people in pursuit of something, people with a specific goal. They can also be people of any age who are working very hard to manifest that specific goal. Knights can tell you to get off your butt and pursue whatever the element is. So the Knight of Cups might come up to say, go ahead and ask her out. The Knight of Pentacles, go ahead and look for the new job. The Knight of Swords, find out what the truth is. Now, the Knight of Wands is an interesting knight. In the weight image, he's clearly too big for his horse. I think the Knight of Wands pursues creativity, pursues fun, but let's face it, he's a little silly too. So you can look at the pictures to get a sense of more about their personality. The Knights can also predict travel. What kind of travel? Well, again, look at the element. Knight of Pentacles is a business trip. Knight of Cups might be a romantic vacation. Now, when we look at the queens, typically queens are adult women, and their personalities are according to their element. So your Queen of Wands is going to be warm and creative, and she has a sense of humor. She's very spiritual. The Queen of Cups is going to be sentimental, emotional, romantic, and dreamy. So on and so forth. The queens can also come up to tell us what we need to nurture in our lives. Again, what we need to nurture would be related to the element. Kings tend to be adult males or leaders. A lot of times women in heavy leadership positions will show up as kings. The kings also may tell us to take a leadership situation. The kind of leadership situation will again be related to the elements. Now, I read reversals, and so the way I work is this. The 16 court cards in their upright position tend to represent people who are pretty decent, okay people. When the cards come up reversed, that's when they represent people with problems. When knights are reversed, they've fallen off their horse. Maybe they're being lazy. Maybe they're not pursuing what they should pursue. The pages, when they're reversed, maybe they're not studying, maybe they're not communicating, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. When the queens are reversed, maybe they're not in their nurturing role. When the kings are reversed, maybe they're not taking responsibility appropriately. So there are some quick ideas showing you how I handle the court cards. I hope you find that helpful. If you have a question about tarot, please go ahead and email me and I'll answer it with a video.